Hey, Daryl here. This is my daily devotional. If only God's people could be satisfied with the things of the Lord. But instead, we tend to look into the world and see its wonderful, bright, attractive, alluring sights. And we want what's in the world, when everything we ever need and should want is in the Lord. Well, that's what happened to Israel. They were being governed by God, theocracy, but they looked into the world and saw the other nations were being governed by a king. And so they relentlessly said, "Give us a king, give us a king." And Samuel was just frustrated by this. And so God finally gave in. Listen as I read in 1 Samuel chapter 8, beginning at verse 19. But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and go out before us to fight our battles." When Samuel heard all that the people said, he repeated it before the Lord, and the Lord answered, "Listen to them and give them a king." So that's the first step of disobedience in the life of the Israelites. You see, they looked into the world. They weren't satisfied with the Lord, and they wanted what the world had to offer. So, verse 1 of chapter 9 says this. There was this Benjamite man, Saul. It says he was impressive, young, without equal among the Israelites, a head taller than any of the others. And so we have this strong Saul that God has chosen to help defeat, you ready? The Philistines. Now remember that. It's the Philistines that Saul was originally anointed as king to defeat. At verse 1 of chapter 10. Then Samuel took a flask of oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you leader over his inheritance?" And so now the king, Israel, Saul. And it was all okay until Saul disobeyed God. When God gave him a direction and he didn't quite carry it out to the extent God expected, God removed his spirit from King Saul. Chapter 16 at verse 14. Now the spirit of the Lord had departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from the Lord tormented him. And now his life becomes a ruin. He started strong because his faith and trust was in the Lord. And now he becomes so tormented because his faith and trust was no longer in the Lord. And the Lord had removed the presence of the Spirit from upon him. Now, he is so eaten up and bitter at David because David had killed Goliath and was so popular amongst the people. Man, that jealousy just ate him up. Well, to the point that David left, even went to the Philistines, willing to fight with them just to escape Saul, who was after him continuously and relentlessly. Well, the time finally came when a battle occurred, and God's judgment was upon Saul. Now remember, Saul was initially anointed to defeat the Philistines. But listen to what happens to Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 31. They're caught up. The Philistines are after them. Saul says to his armor bearer, "Kill me." The armor bearer wouldn't do it. But his armor bearer was terrified and would not do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it. When the armor bearer saw what Saul has done, he also fell on his sword. Saul committed suicide. Why? Because he failed to obey the Lord. He fell out of oneness with the Lord. The Lord removed his spirit. And in that sense of defeat, he took his life. Oh, let's never take your life. No. Because our trust is in the Lord. And he is the one that we must rely on. He is the one we must never disobey, so we don't become as despondent as Saul. God bless you. Good day.